One of the things I think that has made the biggest difference is knowing where my lines are and knowing who I
Mm,
am
mm.
and knowing when to go and when, like, what I'm willing to give up and what I'm not willing to give up for basketball.
This podcast is intended solely for educational and discussion purposes. The content shared within this program is not meant to embarrass, criticize, or humiliate any official, coach, team, conference, or fan. Our goal is to educate, inform, and promote a deeper understanding of the art and the profession of officiating, providing insight that benefits all who love and support the game. Welcome to episode 4 of The Play is the Play. And I am so honored. This young lady is so modest. Every time I talk to her, she's just modest. Ashley Ellis, you're the best. You're one of my up and comings. You're just growing into a leader and one of the best officials in the country. But you sell yourself short because you always think that you shouldn't be where you are, and you really should. I'm just letting you know that publicly to everybody. But I'm so happy to have you here, and we're going to have some fun, and we're going to talk a little bit as far as what you do off the floor, because, you're one of my officials that actually have a real job every single day. You're a school teacher. And so we're going to talk about a little work-life balance, as well as everyone knows, we're going to do the play is the play and have a great discussion. Ashley sent me a play, and we're going to have that discussion as well. But I just want to say I am honored to have you um, be a part of this podcast. You're in year 9 working with me, and I have to let everyone know. How about Ashley Ellis is in year 9, and this past year she worked a Mountain West championship game in the tournament.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate all the opportunities that you've provided for me. It's
Well, that's easy.
wonderful.
That's the easy part. You do the work. You're dedicated. You make sure that you manage your time. You make sure that you manage, work, and on that topic, just getting into keeping it real. For you, you're not the easiest person to schedule for. I can honestly say. But you know what? I would do it. I'll do it every single season. I do it every single day, and I don't really care because you're an amazing official. You're a wonderful person, but you're so dedicated in your own profession. So just tell us a little bit about what you do for your profession.
Well, thanks again. I am a PE teacher. I teach high school PE. I have a lot of different classes that I teach. Some of my new favorites are an outdoor recreation class where we take
Hmm.
the kids out and we go kayaking and hiking and cross country skiing and indoor rock climbing. And
Oh,
then
that
my
sounds
other,
real tough, Ashley. That's hard. Having
yeah,
having a
no,
lot of fun there, Mama.
we are. It's so much fun to take kids who have never been outside and get them outside to experience new things. And
Oh,
then
okay.
my other favorite class is I'm wearing the shirt, I got to represent it here, but Hunter Unified, it is a unified sports program, which is a branch of Special Olympics. And so that is
Nice.
really close, near and dear to my heart. Just all sorts of activities and things that I do with Special Olympics. So it's pretty fun.
I love it. I love it. So tell me a little bit because you do one thing that you and I have to do very, very well, is our communication throughout the season. And one thing I love about you is that, at the beginning of the season, you give me the parameters of what you need and where you can go and what time frame you can go. You tell me when when you have your spring break, when you have the holiday break, uh, you say during certain times on weekends, you're available to go everywhere, but kind of give me, how do you pretty much, you know, with your work schedule, getting off work? How does that kind of work for you?
Sorry, can you repeat that? It was breaking up a
I
little bit
can.
for me.
Okay. I said, with your work schedule, which is very, very difficult. It can be difficult, but it's not because you and I have a great line of communication, um, in making sure that I know when you're able to, when you have to be at home or be local, or when you can travel, whether it's you're on break, you're on holiday break, but just kind of go into how do you, with you, how do you kind of set that up to tell me what I need so that I can schedule you appropriately?
The number one thing is just being honest, right?
Mm,
Like I have multiple people who might tell me that I share too much information or I can make it like it's going to make come back and make me look bad if I say this or that or anything else.
hmm
And I've found just being honest in the situation, it helps the most. But in doing that, like I have my three separate lives. I have my family and church life, I have my school life, I have my ref
hmm
life, and those lines really don't blur too much for me. They're very distinct, they're very separate. And so
Good for you.
when we go
Okay.
through and we do that scheduling, I'm honest with you. I talk to you. We have good discussions about what can be done and what needs to be done and the give and take, like you were saying about maybe I'm local here, but I'm going to a further away location later on, and we have that
hmm
balance.
hmm
Um, and then on my school end, I've had 5 different principals now
We've had a lot of
since,
discussion about your principles, right?
yes, because every single one is different.
Different. There you
And
go.
for the most part, they've been really good. The one I have right now is fantastic. And it's just letting them know, again, being honest with them. And
hmm
I have really good coworkers that help me. I have really good people around me at the school. You help. It's just surrounding yourself with good people and doing what you can in other situations to make up for it.
I know we've talked about your principles, that's why I started laughing because, when you'll tell me, so, oh, I got a new principal, so I don't know.
Yes.
Every time you say that, it works out with no issues. But now with you, because I kind of know your schedule, just paying attention, I know, locally when I need to keep you at home. And it does really help. It helps having, what do we have? Four schools in Utah. So that helps as well, to get you those local assignments where you can still go to work and then leave and drive, getting you to those schools, those universities that you can just drive to. So it's not like I have to cut your schedule any because I don't. But just I kind of know your schedule as well, where you can go, where you can't go. But with you is that when you're able to travel, you don't care. You say, boss, hey, you know what? I'm on break. I can go wherever you need me to go. I don't think there's ever been a time when you actually told me you couldn't go somewhere, which is kind of nice. Or we've never had a situation where I've given you a game and you can't work it because those lines of communication are always open. And I think it's extremely important because, again, it's important for me that you take care of your school and your kids and your classroom. I can't I can't just be selfish to say I want Ashley to take gains for me and not know that your classroom is important. What was great was I got a good story for you because this happened this summer when I called you to work basic ref school and you said, "Yeah, I can do it." And then you end up working one, and then I wanted you to work the other one, and you instantly was so excited. You're like, "Yeah, I can do it." And then you went back, and I don't know if you talked to your sister or you looked at your calendar, and you
Hmm.
called me back, and you was like, "Oh, I'm so disappointed that I had already promised that you were taking, I think it was taking a trip with your sister."
It
And the
was. We
first thing
were.
and the first thing I said was, have a good time with your sister. That's because that's important. But again, you were still not afraid, or you wasn't worried that I would be mad or disappointed or have a problem with it. I know, because that's important. And I know how important that is for you, because Ashley is not going to be who Ashley is if you're worried about, if you're coming to work at basic ref school and you didn't go be with your sister. Because again, work life balance. There is your balance. Or it could have been you said you had a church event. Go for it, because it is extremely important, because it matters in our mental. It matters in who we are, that you got to be able to compartmentalize all those different things in our lives to give each and every part 100%. You're a very, very good communicator. You're always telling me when you can go somewhere, when you can't. But I think the key component that you said when we first started was the honesty part, because you could have easily gave me some BS, with when you first said, yeah, I can come to basics, but you didn't. You actually just told me the truth. I told you yes because I was excited and I wanted to be a clinician, and I didn't look at my calendar, and I look at my calendar and I'm planning, I had a trip planned with my sister. You got to go. That's automatic. But again, you have some officials that would be afraid to say that to me. They would be like, oh, I can't, I got to tell my sister I can't go. That would disappoint me if you did that, because that's not cool, because that part of your life is so valuable because it makes you who you are. And, you're always so humble, and I think you're one of those officials that, and I'm telling you all your nuggets right now, so don't let it go to your head. I'm just joking. But you're that official that I never forget. You called me this past season, and I can't remember if it was it Wyoming? And you called me and you said, boss, that was the worst game that I have had in a long time. You were so mad at yourself. But what I loved was your vulnerability, your ability to go back and evaluate yourself and go, I was a piece of crap. And thank God my crew took care of me. I thought that was the funniest thing, because your growth and who you are, it took you to another level for me, because not too many officials can be honest to say, you know what, I was not my best tonight. And sometimes, because we're human and it happens, you don't know, there's no necessarily reason why it wasn't anything. Now, don't get me wrong. You didn't screw up the game or anything like that, but it was just your honesty, your gut feeling within yourself, that you just had to express that, you know what, I just wasn't happy with myself. And thank God my crew was there to pick up the slack and be who they are. But I just thought that was funny. I just want you to know, I think about that story sometime I see you and that story pops into my head, because it was so candid and it was so honest. Um, and I just want to commend you for it, because it tells me, I need to know when you're up and coming and you becoming a leader and you're crew chiefing, and I'm putting you in, high profile games, that you're gonna be honest. You have to be. You have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror, because we're not perfect and we are human and we all make mistakes. And so many of us, we try to hide from that part. But that's one character in you that you don't. I know that if the game went to the shitter, you gonna tell me that's what happened. If the game was good, you're gonna be honest and tell me we nailed it, boss. But as an official that has only been with me for 9 years, what a great quality in you. And I think that's why you're growing the way you're growing. That's why you're exceeding your own expectations. Because, and I know I can look at you sometime and you go, I can't believe I just worked that, or I can't believe that I'm in the position that I'm in because you know how you look at your own self and you go, wow, I never thought that I would get here. But here you are, and it's a beautiful thing. So, for me, it's just awesome being around you. The staff loves you, your personality, but you're so candid and honest, and you're a good communicator. But you're such a good example. You're a good example for those young up and coming officials that are trying to go and be a leader, become a crew chief, making it to the NCAA tournament, making it to conference tournaments. And the other thing that I love about you, I tell you what, don't let somebody get out of line because you will whack them in a heartbeat. You don't like, nope, not putting up with it, not gonna do it. And it's so what's so what's so nice about it is that looking at you, because your personality is so sweet and mild mannered, and you wouldn't think that you have that in you, but you really do. And that is actually one of your assets, just so you know. That's what I think it is. That's my personal opinion of you. But you're growing, you're just developing in a way that is awesome. And I love it because you're just becoming one of my leaders, which is very, very important, extremely important. So
Oh,
I,
shoot. Thank you. Here I was nervous about this podcast business, but I need to come on here every week. This is
that,
good stuff.
no, and I told you, no need to be nervous, not at all. And I mean, literally, that's why I wanted you here. I wanted you to come on because, again, you're that official for me that still has the full-time job, still has to balance work and family and church and officiating. And because some people just put everything into one basket, and for you, you don't have everything in one basket. You're kind of all over the place, which is not bad because it makes you. That's what make you. But you're not
I need the
afraid.
different categories of my life to balance me out. I need the sanity of each one and the just the positivity that each one of them bring me to
Hmm.
balance out who I am.
Hmm. And you give it and that's a beautiful thing. So you know what, I just have to say that just continue to grow, continue, like, being a leader, and not being afraid to step up, and I know that's the other great quality because you're kind of young and experienced in officiating, but you have courage. You have that intestinal fortitude. You're not afraid to step in and do whatever you need to do to make your game okay. And that comes with experience. And your experience is, 9 years. That's not a lot of years. It's a lot, but it's not. And when we're talking about leadership and advancement, you've kind of fast tracked yourself, and you have to. And I can honestly say that your fast track comes from your different categories of what you've done in your life. That you've prioritized each area where you're able to be who you are, to step up to the plate, and just do your job in all aspects, which is very, very tough. It's not. It's tough, you know. To be a school teacher and to be a Division 1, to be one of the top Division 1 officials. It's easy just to be, if you want to just referee. But see, we're at a level now that, we travel all over the place. And to be able to do that, you have to be a good communicator. You have to have good administrators. Speaking of your principal, like you just said, you have a really, really good principal, because obviously if you didn't have a principal that supported you the way that he's supporting you, you wouldn't be able to travel like you're traveling. You would have to say, hey boss, you know what? I got to stay local. I can't go. But the good thing is that's not the case with you. So we're going to keep knocking on wood, and hopefully you're going to continue to keep getting those principles where you can do what you need to do on the officiating side. I know you're going to do it with your family, and I know you're going to do it with church, but the great thing is that we still have a balance between all four to make Ashley who Ashley is, which is extremely important for you. In my, that's just my,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
my takeaway. my takeaway. So, you know, I hope that going forward we can continue the same way. I know we will. I know we will, because you're really, really good with telling me what the parameters are with scheduling, and you know, with when you can have your breaks and all that type of stuff. So we're on the right track. We're on the right track. But I just want to thank you for taking the time, because I know this is that time where we're getting ready for the season and preparing. But I just thought, with the different aspects of your life, you would just be, people need to know that not every referee just referees and they don't do anything else. You got a lot of other things going on in your life that really are far more important than officiating, you know, to be honest with you. Officiating is the bottom of the totem pole. The rest of that stuff that you just mentioned, the family, the work, and your church, they're way above officiating. So, and not too many referees know how to do that, Ashley. They don't. They're afraid to do it because they're thinking that if they do it, it's going to minimize their schedule, or they're afraid that they're not going to get the games that they want, or they're not going to get the advancement where they want to get to. But in your case, you do a great job of going the other direction and saying these things are important, but I'm going to get my games. I'm going to be that leader. I'm going to continue to grow. And, one thing again about you, physically fit, you always come in looking phenomenal, which is great. You skinny girls get on my damn nerve, in a good way, not in a bad way, you know. So, you just do all those little bitty things to make sure that you keep yourself where you need to be, which is a positive, a huge positive. So I thank you, for being here. Is there anything else you want to say?
I would just say you call it fast tracking the last 9 years, but that's my Division 1, my last 9 years. Before that, I was in the JUCO and Division 2 ranks for quite a while, and it did
Yep.
not feel like it was a fast track, right? Like it
Good.
it felt like a slow grind. And in talking with you, one of the things I think that has made the biggest difference is knowing where my lines are and knowing who I am and
Mm-hmm.
knowing when to go and when, like, what I'm willing to give up and what I'm not willing to give up for basketball.
I love
I
it.
can remember I was a brand new junior college official, and a Division 1 official invited me to go watch them work
Mm-hmm.
a game. And it was like a 4 hour road trip one way, and then was supposed to be 4 hours coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, and the snow just started coming, and it was a
Oh,
horrible
wow.
snowstorm coming back. Um, and I ended up missing my best friend's wedding that night because of it.
Oh, wow.
And that was one situation to me that I remembered I had crossed a line I didn't want to cross. I
Yep.
did not, like, it's just what we were talking about. Know who you are and what you're willing to do, because there are things you cannot mend. Um, no relationship is worth a game or a paycheck, in my opinion. So,
You're 100% correct. All right, now we're back, everybody. And now we're getting into the nitty gritty. The play is the play. And this is going to be so much fun. Ashley Ellis has sent me a really, really good play that her and I are just going to have a candid discussion, like, no different than if she called me on the phone after her game and we would have a chalk talk. This is exactly what we're going to do. So, Ashley, we're going to put the play up and you cue it up for us, and we're just going to have a candid talk about what happened on this particular play in the game.
all right, well, this is the end of the third quarter. And go ahead and just play it. You can see Santa Clara, the home team, is ahead by 9. It's 51-42. Santa Clara is going to get the rebound. They outlet it. It's coming up the floor. And right now, the clock is stopped. And we're still in live play. We're still playing. Nobody has noticed it at this point in time, or said anything about noticing it at this point in time. So they
Wow.
continue. and there's a foul there with 2.3 seconds left. So, what happens now is we go to shoot the free throws, and Devon is going to be administering the free throws. He comes up and says, "Hey, I think the clock stopped." And I said, "You think or you know?" And he said, "No, I know. The bench was talking about it." And then he looked
Good.
up and he saw it freeze, but then as soon as he saw it, like it immediately started again.
Okay.
And so he thought it had only stopped for like a half second. And
But you know what's
so,
funny? Every
what's
time
that?
we do that, we always think, you know how when like it stopped and you said he thought it stopped for a half a second because when you're out there, that's how you feel. But
Hmm.
it was a little more than that. And
Yeah.
the nice thing is that Devon had the courage, first of all, to listen to the bench because sometimes they can help us. And so in this
Hmm.
case, they helped you. You know what I mean? And but again, him having the intestinal fortitude and you setting this up where your crew was comfortable enough, because again, he's a young official on our staff. For him to have the guts to say that to you is huge. Because some people, because everybody could have said, "Oh, I didn't see it." That's the number one thing. "Oh, I didn't know it stopped." But he's like, "No, Ashley." And words matter for you being the leader. You said you think or you know. And that was very, very key. And now going back to have the discussion on what you guys going to do to fix it. So how did that work?
Well, as you said, I'm a newer crew chief, and so I tried my hardest to convince myself not to go to the monitor. Oh, it's only a half second. It's going to delay the game. We don't want to
Yep.
do this. It just is so small.
Yep.
I had all of those thoughts going through my head, and then thankfully, the little angel on my shoulder, instead of the devil, said, "Just do it." The answer is yes. Always go to the
Yep.
like if there's a question, just go and get it right. And the worst it's going to do is I go over there for 10 seconds. I go, "Nope, we're good." And we shoot the free throws and go, right?
Yep. Hmm.
So I go over to the monitor really quick. I look and I go, "Oh, shucks, it was more than a half second that it stopped." And so we ended up sending the teams to their benches because we knew it would take a longer time to figure out.
Okay.
And when it froze, I just timed how long it had froze just with the stopwatch that's built into DV Sport, and it was right
Okay.
around the 2.3 second mark. And so I knew I needed it to be even more official. So I had to take it back, take the play all the way back to our last dead ball. And our
Hmm.
last dead ball took place at 49 seconds. They had come down, they had ran a play, they missed the shot, and so the
Okay.
clock just continued to run.
Okay.
And as we're coming back up. And so, anyway, I just let it run. I had taken it back to when it had stopped, set my timer to 49 seconds on
Hmm.
DV Sport, and then just ran it. And I ran that all the way down until when the foul occurred, because at that point in time, now it was the last second shot with time and all of that stuff. And on the monitor, it said negative zero point 0.3, which
Wow.
means that we were zero point 0.3 seconds after the quarter should have ended.
Okay.
Which means that foul doesn't count. They're not going to get their free throws.
So.
They're not
Hmm.
going to get the ball. None of that is going to happen. And because San Diego, the defensive team, had the possession arrow, they actually were going to get the ball to start the fourth quarter.
Got it. Got it.
So,
Wow. How
yeah,
about
pulled
how about
coaches
that's a
together.
that, that's a tough play for a new crew chief. I know that. That's Ashley. That's
Thank
as tough as it gets
Thankfully, I
for a
have
new
really
crew
good
chief.
people around me who share their situations and are willing to teach me what
Hmm.
they've done in the past, and I
Hmm.
I can just listen and learn from them. And so it was great that I could recall.
That was
Thankfully, my brain worked on
so.
this one.
Yeah. So which was great. So how did the coaches take this? How did, when you, because obviously now you gotta tell them, here's what we're gonna
Mhm.
do, here's what happened, how was the both coaches on both teams on that one?
Oh, San Diego's coach was thrilled because they now don't have a foul on their post player or on their guard, and they're getting the ball to start. It
Mm-hmm.
was the best situation for them. So they just smiled and nodded and okay and went back to their bench. Santa Clara's
Nice.
coach
Okay.
was not as happy um, because he said we would have ran our play earlier had we have known that the clock was off. I said, I understand that. I completely get it.
Right.
The good news for us, that was his table. That
There
was
you go.
his
I was
equipment.
gonna say that. Exactly. So
And
he can't be mad at you.
nope.
But the other component to this is that it's called stuff happens in games, and
Hmm.
unfortunately, the clock stopping during live play is very, very difficult for us to catch. And I give Devon so much credit that he actually saw a little bit of it to just know it, because the worst feeling is that, how about you guys didn't know it, you didn't do anything, and then you go back and you're watching it, and now you're sitting on the airplane and you watch it, and then you go, holy crap, that stopped. And then you would time it, you would go through that same protocol, but you can't do nothing about it. And the key component to this is, whether Santa Clara liked it or didn't like it, you did it correctly and you did what was best for the game and is right. And that's one of the reasons why we have the monitor. See, here's a way where the monitor actually was a savior, because he can dislike it all he want, but it doesn't really matter, because you did it by the book. You ran it down. Now, see, it's interesting that you say you ran it down from the beginning, because I would have kind of thought I could run that clock down from when San Diego got the possession and take it from
Hmm.
there. But you see, again, you school teacher, you're so thorough that you go all the way back to the beginning of the play and run it down, which is fine. But he can only be pissed off at his own table. He can't be pissed off at the crew. But what was interesting was, he wasn't that pissed off. I never heard from him.
No, he
Never ever
wasn't
called
because
me.
he understood the situation. And when we talked about it, yeah, he wished the clock would have been right, but he understood why we were doing what we were doing. And so that was
Good.
really good. And like you
Yeah.
said, like the biggest takeaway is Devon. Devon rocked this. He came in
Wow.
with his piece. He said what he had, because too often as officials we think we need to know everything in
And you don't.
order to do anything. And we don't,
Right.
it'd be nice, but there are so many people, we can't have our eyes everywhere. The clocks, the coaches, our partners, the scores table, the defense. We can't have our eyes everywhere all the time. So
Right.
that is the point of the crew.
Right.
All we have to do is bring our little piece,
Yep.
and it's amazing what somebody can do, how our little piece can be magnified.
That's
And all of a
well
sudden,
said.
somebody with more experience or somebody with more skills, or just putting all of our pieces together, it just makes such a beautiful picture when we do it right.
You're dead on, and that's what happened. And again, it's beautiful when you're with a team or you're with a crew where everybody just holds their own. And like you said, for him, he was a rock star, because he wasn't afraid to say something to you, because
Hmm.
trust me, there's a whole lot of officials I know on our staff wouldn't have said one word. And wouldn't have never said anything. How about that? Even after they would have watched it, or even after we would have the discussion, they would still claim, "Oh, I never saw it," and they saw it, but just didn't have the intestinal fortitude to say something, because in most cases they didn't know what to do with it. And that's one reason why, if you don't know your rules, and you don't understand going to the monitor and what to do, and like using the stopwatch and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you tend to kind of defer. and just be silent versus saying, you know what, something about this isn't right. And it makes, in this, and you know, again, because I'm looking at your crew, you guys are all young, which is beautiful. But your credibility within San Diego and Santa Clara went up to here. You just went up because they go, wow, you know what? And may not like it, even though it was against them, but it was the right thing to do for the game. And that's one thing we always have to remember, that the game comes first. The game, our partners, and then ourselves. And if we hold on to that, we would be okay in any game at any point in time. So kudos to you for, you know, and it's almost like you kind of fought yourself, because you're like, you know, you don't want to go to the monitor. Nobody does. Nobody is like, I got to go over there. But literally, you went over there and you handled your business. You guys administered it, brought the coaches together, had your discussion, ended the quarter. Play is the play, which is a beautiful thing. And that goes, you know, with that being said, that's a beautiful segue how we can end it. And always say, regardless of what happens in the game, the play is the play. It's a wrap, and the play is the play. And I just want to thank Ashley Ellis. You've been amazing. I've had a wonderful time. You know, her and I kind of went through work balance, taking care of yourself, managing your career as an educator, and, you know, managing your family, church, and officiating, which is awesome. You're doing a great job with it, and keep communicating with me. I need it. But, you know, I would say to each and every one of you, all you have to remember is the play is the play. Please share, subscribe, watch your video, and just continue to learn. And we'll be back for another episode.